We now know that somebody's been released by the WWE, but also on top of that, there's more rumors that more releases are coming. I don't know if I'm buying it, but we're going to talk about it in this video. Also, AEW's, you guys know the whole storyline between American Top Team and AEW. It's a very prominent storyline against the Inner Circle. But now we know that MMA fighter Kayla Harrison, probably one of the biggest women's fighters outside of the UFC, has actually come out and buried AEW. Some very surprising comments. And then also Eric Bischoff again starts, he's talking a little bit more and more about AEW, and he says that they're losing fans. He believes that AEW is turning fans off. I have to throw in my 2 cents. That's what we do here on DPW. So if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. If you are a existing viewer, shout out to you because you are the best. All right, so Kayla Harrison, guys, you guys see what's happening. Jorge Masvidal, Austin Vanderford, who else? We got Junior Dos Santos. We got, all these people, right? Dan Lambert is obviously running things for the Men of the Hour, or what is it? Whatever their tag team name is, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Nonetheless, Kayla Harrison stepped in one time for AEW. And she just flat out revealed very quickly. She goes, "Go ask all the other yahoos who keeps going back for more. I did one and I said I'm done. It's so stupid. It's so silly." Now, of course, when I saw something like this, I started laughing. But you might be wondering, why am I even talking about this? Well, here's the thing, guys. A lot of people look at pro wrestling and MMA having the same audience. And I don't think that's actually the case. I don't think a lot of MMA people like wrestling. I think it's the other way around. I think people who like wrestling traditionally enjoy watching boxing or, MMA. Now, when somebody like Kayla Harrison, who, by the way, you might be watching, and if you're not in the world of MMA, you don't know how much of a big deal she is, but she's a very huge deal. Very, very big deal. Very dominant fighter. When somebody like her comes out and says that this wrestling stuff is silly and it's stupid and they don't like it, it does have weight to the comments. So it's just something to consider. Again, I don't really care because, everybody has their own opinion, but I do think it was interesting considering that, Kayla Harrison's probably the biggest name in that group next to Jorge Masvidal and Junior Dos Santos, And, the fact that, she just flat out buried AEW. And it's not just specifically AEW. Really what she's doing is burying wrestling too, but you just got to keep that in mind because as time goes on, the thing that I'm learning here is something like this is a one-time deal and that's all it will ever be. But if Kayla Harrison actually went to, let's say, the UFC and fought Amanda Nunes, that's really huge, you kind of want to get the rub from somebody talking about your product outside of your product. You want it to be positive, not negative, if you know what I mean. Anyways, let's talk about Eric Bischoff because this has been a very interesting topic that we have been talking about for a little bit now. Basically, Eric Bischoff has just been on a roll. He was talking a little bit about AEW and their fan base, and one of the big things that he was talking about was that essentially, every time AEW takes shots at WWE, they're losing fans, and it's turning off fans. And he kind of uses some comparisons in the real world, and, I really thought this was an interesting story, mainly due to the fact that, in a weird way, I somewhat agree. As you guys know, my stance has been pretty simple. It's been pretty easy to say, for me at least, I've been able to say this entire time that, the petty shots between the companies, I get it. It's fine. It's normal. But sometimes I think it takes away from how your product is, right? I think sometimes we enjoy WWE or AEW based on how they interact with each other versus the actual product that they're putting out. And I know that's something that I've said before, but I truly mean that. Sometimes, this past weekend for Dynamite, I personally just wasn't a fan of the episode, So it's if AEW keeps taking shots at WWE, that's fine, that's cool. Yeah, it's petty, it's stupid, but do I enjoy it? To a certain extent, yeah. But if I'm not enjoying your product in the current moment, I think it is a huge turnoff. And I think this is why for WWE, we go back to what Triple H said about Piss and Company. That was freaking crazy. because AEW was just so new. But now as you go on, you're like, okay, well, WWE took their shots at certain times with the pettiness and the promos and stuff. And every time they've done it, it was like a whole different time in comparison to right now, where AEW is actually doing good things. If it sounds like I'm all over the place, it is because I am. I really am all over the place with this scenario, because it's like, on one hand, like, I kind of enjoy the shit talking, but also at the same time too, if I'm not thoroughly enjoying your product in the current moment, I feel like it just rubs off the wrong way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that's what Eric Bischoff was trying to say. But I do get the point that he's trying to make. I don't entirely agree that AEW is losing fans, but I do think they are a turnoff in that moment when it happens, if you're not enjoying the product. But also, if AEW is killing it and the product is incredible at that very moment, if you feel really confident about the product in that moment, the trash talk gets you feeling like you're behind them, and that's why it's a little bit different. Let's talk about Greg Hamilton. By now, you probably saw the news that Greg Hamilton, the WWE ring announcer, backstage interviewer, I don't even know what else he's done for the company at this point. He's been there for a while, but he's been released by the company. And you guys may have seen some stuff about, he came out on Instagram and Twitter basically bashing Westside Gunn, the rapper, for sampling his voice. He threatened to use the WWE lawyers. We all saw this stuff pop off on social media, and we pretty much knew that was it, right? So WWE releases him. Now, basically, the report comes out that it's mutual. He comes out and confirms that it was mutual. It took a toll on his mental health and stuff like that, which is totally fine. However, in a situation like this, as I see a story like this, WWE, it's being explained that WWE, this was part of budget cuts. So we have a controversy between Westside Gunn, the famous rapper, and Greg Hamilton for sampling or utilizing his vocals on a song, right? You have that. That's story number one, right? Story number one is that. Story number two is WWE is making budget cuts again. Will Charlotte Flair be part of those budget cuts? I mean, is budget cuts like the new, like, hey, you're getting future endeavored, like, budget cuts? It gets confusing to me, but that's literally what I'm thinking here, because I think we all know what was happening. And Greg Hamilton says it was mutual and whatnot, and maybe it was to a certain degree. But I think WWE right there did not want that spotlight. I don't think Greg Hamilton has the right to choose what WWE lawyers will do in terms of that stuff. Very interesting stuff. But if more WWE releases are on the way due to budget cuts, man, oh man, it's going to be a very interesting year going into 2022. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time right here on DPW.